call the council meeting for Thursday, May the 16th to order. As you can see, this meeting is being held in person. It can also be viewed on local cable channel 1303 or on the internet by accessing bucksportmaine.gov and selecting agendas and minutes and choosing this meeting and clicking on the video button next to the meeting. Questions or comments may be submitted prior to or during the meeting by emailing slassard@bucksportmaine.gov or during the meeting by calling 307-8030. For those of you here, now would be a great time to make sure your cell phones are quiet. Roll call, George.
Councilor Mark Eastman.
Here.
Councilor Paul Govan.
Here.
Councilor Tracy Hare.
Here.
Mayor Paul Bissonnette.
Here.
Councilor Dan Ormsby.
Here.
Councilor Ed Rankin.
Here.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Bishop is
Yes,
excused.
thank
Yep, thank you. Presentation of any town council recognitions. We have none this evening. Next is to consider the minutes of previous meetings. We have the minutes from last week's meeting, May the 9th, 2024. I will assume everyone's had a chance to review. Any questions? How would the council like to proceed?
Motion approved. Second.
Second, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next is receive and review correspondence. We have the Down East Transportation Ridership Report from April 2024. Any questions? We have no ordinances to consider or introduce this evening. We do have two discussion items. The first is an update from the Services Committee, which met just a little bit ago. That would be you, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Services Committee, we recommended for appointment for Recreation Committee, Anthony McGuire and Josh Tripp. The Baseball Field Committee recommend for appointment Anthony McGuire and Josh Tripp. Community Resilience, John Goss, Don White, Ben Plord, all recommended for appointment. And Economic Development, Josh Tripp, recommended for appointment.
Great. If there is no objection, we can move temporarily down to number 9 and take action on those. If there's no objection.
That was before Mr. Tripp walked into the
It
room.
was,
He was
so
appointed to
I
3
hope he knows
councils.
what he's been signed up for. Let's take action quickly. So we'll move to 9. How would the council like to proceed on A, B, C, and D, which was added?
Motion approved.
Second.
There's a move second. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next, back up under number 7 is the Superintendent of Schools is here this evening, Superintendent Boothby, to discuss the education budget for 24-25.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello, Jim.
I provided you a packet earlier this evening. It should be in front of you. You had some other information last week, but this is updated. Overview of the budget. Our budget, the board adopted budget at 4.77% above last year's budget, $18,747,000. That is an overall increase of $853,000. 99.6% of that increase is tied to wages and health insurance. That's what we're dealing with. One of the biggest challenges we have, we received an 11.14% increase in health insurance. That was not anticipated. Last 3 years, we had been 3%, 2%, and 0%. They caught up. So that was a significant increase. To arrive at the 4.77, the original budget actually came in at 8.8%. The school board had multiple meetings, were not comfortable with that number, directed the administrative team to come back. They targeted a 5% to see where that landed. We were able to come in at a 4.77, but to get there, we did have to make a number of reductions, including what's the equivalent of 5 positions. One of those positions was fairly easy, was a special ed position that did not get filled this year, so we saw that as an opportunity. We've seen our numbers level off, especially in the pre-K and K, so we saw an opportunity to reduce one teacher there. That was a teacher that was leaving, so there was no direct impact on that. High school special education I already talked about. Elementary counselor was an ESSER position. Federal monies we received during COVID. Very needed service, but we informed that person when we hired him, we could not guarantee that past the end of the ESSER monies. And what we had done to offset that is we are working with bringing somebody in from Acadia Mental Health, a social worker, and they'll be able to work with the students. We have quite a caseload that's available and kids in waiting. We have a relationship with Bucksport Regional Health. We already have 2.5 social workers working with them, and we're still not meeting the need. So that's how we're gonna fill in that gap, unfortunately. Foreign language, we had a reduction in students. We're down to 39 students taking French, so we reduced that from a full-time position to a half-time. That teacher was also certified K-8, so we were able to, we have an opening for Title I ELA services for the middle school, so we put those two together, so nobody lost a job there. District special ed counselor, we try to move that to a full-time position, but working with the employee, the preference was to not be full-time, so we reduced that by 0.2. And using our regional service center, we have a literacy specialist that we're gonna move underneath that educational service center, and actually sharing the position with 3 other school administrative units. And that actually will become an income generating position through that to help offset the cost. So, as usual, getting creative, making adjustments, doing what we can. Overall, that 4.77 does relate back to the towns. For Bucksport, it's at 8.03% increase over the FY '24 budget, or an increase of $387,000. The good news is, I am very pleased to tell you, we are continuing to provide above average education at a below average cost. We're about $2,400 below the state average cost per child. And you can attribute that to the challenge that we're facing with salaries. Okay? And as we see, the state is moving towards, they've passed a law where we're gonna see the minimum wage for ed techs and support staff going up, usurping the collective bargaining authority of the school board. Pardon me for my own political statement there, but I've been public with the legislature, so I don't mind being public now. Also they're working towards a minimum $50,000 teacher wage. Again, I'm not saying they're not worth it, absolutely, 100% worth it, but getting there is very difficult. Next year, we'll be at starting pay here in this district at $43,000. So, we're behind the 8 ball a little bit, and that will be something that'll need to be worked over the years, but that will have a future economic impact.
Jim, is that a 2 or 3 year how did the state enforce that?
So for the support staff and ed techs, that'll take effect in FY '25.
Okay,
So it'll be not next year's, but the following year's budget. So we'll get through next year's budget, FY '25, and it takes effect and it'll impact FY '26.
Is it like all of it at once, or did they do it like last time where it's over, it's all
No,
at once?
no, for the ed techs and support staff, Tracy, it's all at once.
All at once.
what about the teachers?
They have not passed that yet. I anticipate that will be passed. And in the past, they've phased that in. And what they would do is they would give you so many years to get up to that, and then they would backfill the differential.
So there'll be more state funding, is what you're saying, is what you think?
Supposedly,
Okay.
we'll
So
see.
they
I
said.
know, skepticism again.
When's your next negotiating cycle?
The start with the teachers, Dr. Tripp will have that honor next year to start.
Yeah. And then is it the following year as support staff?
Correct.
Yeah.
Jim, I got a question. I see, like, I'm looking at Orland, and they still have school choice.
Yes, they do. That's part of the consolidation agreement.
So
We're seeing fewer of those students taking that choice.
that was my question. How many are we losing now? I know years ago we used to lose quite a few.
Yeah, we were up around the 40s. We're down to 16. 16
now?
Yeah, and
Okay.
we're getting in, Paul, we're getting in next year, 37 you're anticipating at the high school? 33
Okay.
incoming. We're receiving the vast majority of students from Penobscot the last 2 years.
Yep.
And we're seeing more students coming in Sedgwick, Blue Hill, number of different.
But we're keeping more of these Orland kids than we were
Absolutely.
losing in the past.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and the board was very cognizant of that, and what's really helped us, you may have heard about the engineering program and the robotics team and those things.
100%.
Yeah, that is helping us, that's giving us a brand, it's giving us a name, and it's attracting students and retaining students. And that's worked out very well. So one of the things we do know, like, we're about a half of a teacher over for math at the high school, but if we took that away, we'd be taking away engineering classes, so there's a trade-off. Dr. Tripp also got very creative and established a virtual academy, and we have 30 students in the virtual academy right now. And so that's an alternative ed, so we're seeing a reduction in our students taking alternative eds that we're paying for and staying within our house to do alternative ed that way. Plus, we're looking a way to turn that now, to open that up to something somebody can tuition into. And again, that'll be eventually moved into the Educational Service Center as an option.
Thank you.
You're entirely welcome. So,
Very good.
Jim, what's the percentage of children right now receiving special ed
right around
services?
22.5, which has been relatively constant since I've been here.
Mhm.
Yeah. I gave you the information in your packet. You'll see the number of students, and you'll see the different challenges they're faced with. Gives you an idea of some of the things that we're managing. One of the things we are seeing is, and I firmly believe it's an outgrowth of COVID and some other societal changes, a number of students with behavioral challenges coming into school, which has put a lot of stress on our programming and the needs for specialized programming.
You think that will be exacerbated by cutting the counselor position?
Well, that's one of the concerns, Tracy, and that's why
Yeah.
we offset that with bringing in that
Yeah,
program.
yeah,
And what we can do, that's a contracted service. It doesn't cost us any money. And they're able to direct bill either main care or the carriers of the family, so. Is it ideal? I don't think so, but what it does is it does meet
yeah.
part of the need. And it helps, actually, quite honestly, helps families get into the supports that they need for the kiddos. So it's being creative and trying different ways to solve problems, so.
Yeah.
One of the things we're looking forward to, knock on wood, we should be going online in June for the solar project, which we purchased 550,000 kilowatt hours through the solar project, which takes up about 60% of our power usage. So with that, we also negotiated a 4-year contract for 9.8 cents per kilowatt hour, I think is the number. And we get a 24% discount on those 550,000 kilowatts. So we'll be down to like 7.4 cents for that. So we're driving down the cost of what we can. And the upgrades we've made with all LED lights, improved insulation of the schools, the new boilers, we're seeing a reduction in what we're using for our utilities.
Those savings were anticipated when you were first discussing the project. They were really energy related
Absolutely.
projects, and the estimated savings were in part would help offset
Yeah.
debt service.
They guaranteed $95,000 per year savings. We've surpassed that at least twofold. And, which I'm not surprised of, because when you're gonna guarantee that much savings, they're gonna play a low hand. There's no doubt,
Absolutely.
no doubt about it, but it's, very beneficial. The other thing that's been very beneficial, our building with the highest attendance has been the Jewett Elementary, where we just put in the new HVAC. Fresh air. It just follows the science. And that's made a nice difference, so. And that was, the use of the federal monies, I think we leveraged quite well, took advantage of, so.
Any other questions?
I just gotta say, I'm impressed with the 4.77. Having gone through it and recently, it's hard,
Yeah.
especially with the increases in, especially your insurance costs and things like that, so.
Yeah. I think, and I've said this to the other towns when I met with them, don't be surprised if we see this for another 2-3 years before things stabilize. Just knowing that we're gonna have to add money in for salaries and and those types of things, so. I'm sure Dr. Tripp will keep a good hand on things, and
Don't change your mind.
he said plenty of opportunity, trust me.
With these ones, though, this is, yeah, I've always said it, this here is the easy ones to be able to take, because this is the future.
Right.
So, us, we're not, all of us in this room, we're not, these are, and so,
Yeah.
spending money on these kiddos is the easy part.
I appreciate that.
Good job.
Thank you. I did share with you some information in there, just kind of bragging a little bit. One of the things when Mayor Bissonnette was board chair of Bissonnette, and I interviewed with half of the town at one time.
Doesn't let me forget that.
Never. I never walked into an interview before with 39 people.
No, that's not an exaggeration.
And everybody had a random question.
That's
So
right.
It was really good. But it was very clear, and it was told to me that the expectation was that the educational opportunities would be available here so kids could do anything they wanted to. Very clear. And we had a former board chair that kept telling me she wanted world-class opportunities here. Well, sorry for bragging a little bit, but take a look at the letter about the BAR program. That BAR program, Building Assets, Reducing Risk, has been studied. It's been proven that it is a significant improvement factor for schools. They're up to 250, moving on to 270 schools in the country. Bucksport High School was the second one in the country to do that. And that was in 2010. So that's, to me, that's pretty impressive that we're on the front end of a very, very important change. And it's all about building relationships with students and understanding their needs. The other thing I shared with you, the Aspire Golden Bucks News and Notes, Volume 4, Issue 9. It's available on the website. Some of the great things that are happening through that Aspire grant and the opportunities that are provided for kids. And I don't know if you noticed there that we had 3 young men win the Advanced Wind Power Challenge at the University of Maine last weekend. And it's quite an honor. And all 3 were recognized, and they received each of them a $20,000 work study grant to work in the labs up there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and that'll give us 3 freshmen next year and 1 freshman this year moving to sophomore that are working in that lab that's typically for upperclassmen. But our kiddos are being recognized and taking advantage of it. And one of the things that anecdotes I heard from the gentleman when I was talking with them was they were after the competition, one of their peers from Southern Maine came up who they know through robotics and everything, and they said, "Are you guys tired of winning everything?" All 3 of them said no. They were very happy to continue to win. So
How many students do you have going to HCTC?
we're 43 this year, and next year you're projecting 46? 54.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that program's building up quite nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So-
just wanna mention that BAR didn't, just being whatever number you were, the number of entities reaching out
Oh, yeah.
to you about how Bucksport does what it does is significant, and I only know that because I get sucked into some of those.
Yes, you do.
Because
Yeah.
part of it is the partnership
Right.
philosophy that exists between the RSU and the towns, and shared services, IT, using vans, MOUs for fields, which is, it sounds normal to everyone in this room, but in the land of reality, it is so far away from normal that Mr. Boothby, Superintendent Boothby, has done an incredible job of building the reputation of RSU 25 in ways that are non-traditional in the partnership area, and we're becoming a brand as a result of that people use as models. And while I am positive Dr. Tripp will do a great job. Superintendent Boothby has done an amazing job of building a foundation that is inclusive with the RSU and the towns, because it's the same with all of the members, that really does concentrate on, as he says, the kiddos, and the best way that we can provide something really great for our best economic development tool, which is our educational system. So I don't know that I'll have another opportunity for you in a public place on television to credit you with what I really think, me stepping in from outside knows the difference. No, that we're not, this is, the normal here is not the normal everywhere, and we're very fortunate that it's our normal, so.
Thank you very much.
Not to embarrass you further, sir, but I will say this, I'd be remiss if I didn't, as somebody who played a part in hiring you, a very small part, 15 years ago when my hair was all the same color. I think, to follow up on what the town manager just said, that was a foundation that the two of you have had to build. You did not inherit a situation where there was a lot of cohesion or collaboration between Main Street and Elm Street. I will congratulate you on what you've been able to accomplish here. If I had known then that you would be here 15 years later and be as successful, I would have been thrilled, because it had been a little bit of a rough stretch before that. So well done, Mr. Boothby. There's a saying that it doesn't matter what people think when you start; it's what people think when you leave. And so
It wasn't done alone,
this is true. You've
but
had
I
a
do
good team
appreciate
as
it.
well,
I appreciate the opportunity.
yes.
To spend half your career in one place is pretty special. So, no, greatly appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Congratulations on
So what's next? State level Director of Education?
No, sir. No, sir. No, I will be active. Still trying to figure out what exactly it is. I will be doing some consulting for BAR program and working with them. And there's a couple other opportunities I'm researching. It'll be within the educational realm, but I will not continue to be a superintendent. It'll be something different.
So there. Good for you. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. All right. Next, we have one item under agenda items this evening, and it is Resolve 2024-50 to approve a resolve for the purchase of map 2, lot 29, for the amount of $79,000. How would the council like to proceed?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, comments?
As I had signed the purchase and sale as the council authorized me to, contingent on the approval this week. It's my understanding that a survey is going to be done to create the boundaries so that the actual purchase may be extended beyond the 30 days in the original agreement, but the property owner
Yep, she's fine.
is doing that so that it can, just to let you know, the sale won't be taking place next week because we need a survey first.
We absolutely need a survey.
Very good, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain, yep. All right, next is approval of quitclaims, discharges, and deeds. Seeing none. The town manager report.
I want to thank our assessor, Caitlin Eldridge, and Community and Economic Development Director Rich Rotella for organizing and staffing the community information session for the VPI project that was held this week. For anyone who was unable to attend, the video is available on our website. Make Bucksport Beautiful Day is this Saturday, the 18th. Anyone who wishes to participate is certainly welcome, but if you want to stop by the town office between 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m., you can pick up trash bags and a coupon for a soft serve ice cream at the dairy port. There will be an unveiling of the America 250 Revolutionary War Memorial at Veterans Park on Saturday, June 22nd at 2:30 p.m. This project is being done in conjunction with the Ramathot chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and our cemetery committee is working with them on this project. There'll be a program at the site, and refreshments will be served at Brown Hall Community Center following the program. This is a big deal. There will be a lot of people here from across the state, from the DAR, and we're arranging what we believe will be a nice cemetery, a nice celebration, and the memorial itself, we already have. It's been received, it's in storage at the town garage, but, so that's coming up. June elections will be held at the Jewett School on Tuesday, June 11th, from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. This election involves a state ballot for primary elections, a school ballot for school budget validation, and a town ballot for the proposed BPI project. Courtesy boat inspections at Silver Lake program will begin on Memorial Day weekend this year. We're fortunate to receive a $2,000 grant for the program again this year. I attended the Home Inc. annual meeting last night. It was very well attended, and it included a wonderful potluck dinner and provided a host of information on work done at both the Orland and Ellsworth locations for the past year. The increases in bed nights in both facilities is sobering, as is the fact that the organization rescued more than 300,000 pounds of food from Hannaford that was made available to those facing food insecurity. We are so fortunate to have this organization in our area. And finally, the marina is open for the season. Mike Ormsby reports that the season is looking to be a good one, and that the first day that they were open, they sold nearly 130 gallons of gas, which is not bad for your first day. Thank you to Mike and his helper, Rich, and the highway crew for getting in the floats in and things hooked up to start our season. And I don't know why it says summer when it should not have said that in my report.
Was it supper? Really? I mean, it could be summer. It's almost summer.
It was the wrong word in the wrong place. Anyway.
Sue, I
that's it.
saw that they were looking to hire someone for that boat inspections. Did they find someone?
They have people that have
Have-
stepped forward. It's not a lot of hours.
Right.
A week, and it's not high pay, but it's, the people who have signed up are interested in that. There's the opportunity to learn some other kind of water quality testing and do some other things through it as well, so.
Like, Sheehan does that to
Toddy.
Toddy Pond. He's there like almost every day. I mean, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, this is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Why is Rich frowning?
That was quite a
There was no
scowl.
volume, somebody texted me and said there was no volume to the meeting.
Oh, we can hold on a minute.
This isn't the first time that's happened.
There's volume somewhere, because the whole time you're speaking, I'm hearing
I can hear it.
dual voices, and it's driving me insane.
Something to talk about?
No wonder he never wants me to talk.
We have volume on that.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, we do.
If it's on the, is it on the TV?
It's on the TV,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. the-
We got town hall streams and I could hear it.
Great, thank you, Rich.
Yep.
Any other questions for Sue? Thank you, Sue. Next is we need to set a public hearing for the general fund, sewer, marina, and capital budgets, and the date for that is June the 13th, 2024. Unless there's any objection. Do we have to vote on it? Okay,
Motion to approve.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any questions? All's in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Discussion of items not on the agenda for council and public. We'll go with the council first.
I had a quick one. Somebody asked me a question that I have no idea, had no answer for them. Whether it's even in our jurisdiction about drones. I know there's FAA regulations, but can a town do ordinances against drones? And how do you enforce it? Or does the homeowner take it as trespassing and do as
Shoot
they
it out of the
will
sky.
with the drone?
They
You
don't know.
laugh, we've been down this road. I will get back to you on that, because that's, I'm not prepared to know
I
the
wasn't
answer.
prepared to answer the question. I'm like, I don't know. I see their point. I mean, they can be very invasive. I get it.
Lou?
Is it better? The sound?
That I was hearing, much.
There's a lot of laws about that already in place. I don't think there's any need for us to get involved in that. There's a lot of laws about it. I'm sure that if Dylan wanted to come in, he could tell you about it, and so could Richard Peterson. I think they're both big into that commercially.
Okay.
So,
It would be impossible for you to try to regulate it.
yeah.
Where do I find those rules so I can just?
A lot of them are FAA rules. I know that seems crazy, but they regulate that. So, I would assume go to the FAA website. But like I said, after the meeting, talk to Dylan, he can fill you all in, he's big into drones.
Okay. Thank you.
Counselor Hare?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I really appreciated the, work that Rich and Caitlin did at the, presentation on Tuesday night. It was really helpful. And it was a marathon for sure, but I think it was a really great effort. And so I just wanted to shout out to them both for holding up the fort through that entire time and really, just explaining to us how the process would work if it were, to be voted in June. So thanks for that, yeah.
Thanks, Tracy.
Anything else on that? I'll just a quick word. I thought that went fairly well as well. And I would have to say that despite the fact that at the beginning I was pretty gung-ho about getting the power lines, the utility lines buried, for example. To steal a phrase from our town manager, I'm not going to let perfect be the enemy of good. And I also am in favor of that. And I think it would be really easy to correlate what's happening in Searsport right now with what could happen in Bucksport. And I'm not about to sit here and say to anybody that when we're working on Main Street in Bucksport, that it's not going to create a problem and it's not going to be a temporary inconvenience for people. But I'm just because what's happening in Searsport is within a 10 or 15 mile radius, it does not mean that that project will have many similarities beyond that. And I'm not here to talk about what's happening in Searsport, except just to say that, you know, you can you can only draw that correlation so far. And so I think it behooves this council as we move forward, if that is approved by the voters, to ensure that we're working with business owners and the public alike to make sure that the communication on that is on point and that we're doing anything we can to support everyone involved. I'll stop there, but I will say that I do support moving forward with that. Anything else? Great. The public, excuse me. Mr. Rotella.
We also have two people that, we have two citizens, residents that wanna speak, and then Rich wants, I don't care what order, I'm just saying, I know there are two people, cause both of them contacted me about.
We'll let Rich go last.
By all means, you can go first so I can watch and learn.
Oh,
Rich, show them how it's done. Come right up here and
No pressure.
blow their mind.
So the construction project has begun on Central Street. There's been some digging up. It's gonna continue till roughly July 18th. Starting this Monday, we are on pace for the lowering of the existing utility frames and covers for the milling. Remember, this isn't just a straight pavement. That was from Broadway out to Millvale. From Broadway south to Main Street is a mill and fill. So that's why the length of the project's gonna be what it is. This phase is gonna be roughly two weeks. So then in June, you'll start to see the milling of the existing roadway pavement. So for now, it's gonna be lowering the existing utility manholes and everything there. So you have that there. The farmer's market opened today for the season. I drove by and proud to say it was a packed parking lot with vendors. There's new leadership. They had music, they had face painting, and a lot of vendors, and there was a lot of people there. It's every Thursday from noon to 3. Bucksport's newest business opened today at 103 US Route 1, the Bucksport Trading Post. If you get a chance, please do go out and visit. I was the second visitor of the day, but while I was there, speaking with Suzette, there were 2 more folks that had come in. So everything in that store is made in the state of Maine. And from Caribou down to Portland, over to Freiburg, over to MDI, so, and all points in between. So that's a great new business to town as well. And I'd like to thank the council for approving the purchase of 002-029. I think this is a good example of what proper planning is, even though there's not a use today. The property that abuts what we own is a good step forward for us and will help with the 2 grants that are being applied for through the recreation, through the LWCF of the playground and the tennis courts. It'll fix the deficiency we had, so thank you.
Great, thank you. Who's next?
No.
Have moral support with me.
Oh, good.
So, good evening,
Hi.
thank you. I just wanted to come up and introduce myself to the town and to the committee. My name is Julie. I'm the new director at Bucksport Area Childcare. I was away on vacation with my family in April when you guys had a meeting, so I didn't get to come in and say hello. So I just wanted to say hello and let you know I'm here, I'm excited. I just kind of put a face with the business, so, hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. What's
Nice
your
to
name?
meet you guys.
Adele, nice
This
to
is my
meet you too.
oldest Adele. She makes me look like a good mama that I have 2 wild kids, but that's why she's the only one that came with me. So.
Well, you did a good job being moral support. It's nice to meet you, please, best
Very nice
wishes.
to meet you
Yeah.
guys. Thank
Yep,
you.
Thank you.
We've heard very good things of
Yeah.
what you're doing up there, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a certain counselor, I guess, who's worked with you in the past who has said nothing but good about you, so.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Anyone else?
Yes, we have another.
Oh, yes, please. I apologize.
My name is Mac Economy, and I've come tonight to ask you to voice your support for the proposed wind port to be sited at Mac Point and not Sears Island. Such a letter from Isles, a letter to this effect was sent from the Isles Board Selectmen to many of the towns in the area, and I will give you a copy of that with the other information I have. First, I'd like to note that Mac Point is the fastest option for permitting and constructing of the wind port and would be built on already industrialized acreage. Sears Island's singular ecological attributes are more valuable today than 30 years ago when the laws were being enacted to ensure and protect intact ecosystems like wetlands and vernal ponds and sand dunes. We of the Alliance applaud the push for offshore wind projects to lessen our dependence on fossil fuels, but you can't discount ecological costs from the need to get off fossil fuels. Sears Island is important to the health of our coast. I have handouts for further details on the 40 years of fighting to keep Sears Island as untouched as possible for fish and birds and animals and man alike. And sometimes it seems to me that projects that are supposed to further our interests are driven by profit motives over the well-being of an area and its people. The first demonstration I went to on this latest bit for Sears Island, or perhaps I should say, my husband and I lived in Searsport. We were part of the original SIPI process. We also were part of the original Friends of Sears Island, so we've been involved with it for a long time. And it really is important, and it's grown in use. The first demonstration we went to, for this latest thing, some kid on the bridge in Belfast from the College of the Atlantic, whose name was Emery, he said, "Why don't they understand you shouldn't destroy or degrade the environment to save the environment?" So that is all I want to ask, and I have some handouts for each.
That would be great.
What's that?
It didn't last till 10:30.
No, I told you that it wasn't going to.
Do you have something you sounded like you wanted to say?
I did,
Okay.
which is, oh, be careful, please.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, so when, I was contacted about this, it was, the agenda was already out. And so I indicated that the option would be to come to talk to the council with the request. And that generally requests were referred to a committee to discuss and make a recommendation to the full council. And so that, if you wanted to, schedule a meeting to talk about this subject and if you want to weigh in terms of the location of the project, we can schedule a committee meeting and do that for you to make a recommendation to the back to the council. But the question is, what is the council's appetite for participation or considering participation? Because if you wanna talk about it, we need a committee meeting in order to better do that.
I don't know enough about it to know enough about it, so.
Right.
I'm willing to discuss it.
Yeah, I have no philosophical objection. I'd want to read through this, but yeah, sending it to committee would be, and then, yep.
Okay, so our next meeting is June 13th.
Yep.
Because we don't have one next week, so we had probably either services or administration, I'd have to look and see which it falls under, but had a committee, meeting at 6 o'clock before that. Is that okay?
Yep.
Everybody good with that?
Fine with that.
Okay, so we'll have a committee meeting on June 13th for them to talk about it, and it will be referred to the council that night with their recommendation.
Thank you.
Services
Anything else?
committee, is it?
Hmm?
What committee meeting is
6.
Is that
What's that?
infrastructure?
Well, I'm gonna have to
That's what
see
I
which
was
committee it looks in, because this is more of an advocacy. I need to look up we don't get asked to advocate very often, so I need to look up what committee would be making a recommendation on that.
We're not starting
guess
another
is-
committee, are we?
What's that? No, we are not starting another committee. It will fit into one of the ones we have. But, the town in my 9 years here has never taken an advocacy position for or against anything, or anything. So I'll find the right committee and notify you which it is, but it'll be, whichever one it is, it'll be at 6 o'clock.
All right,
6 o'clock.
We only have 4 to choose from, so.
that's right.
We gonna do economic development in June?
We are, that would be the 11th.
So that'd be before.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, we did do one thing, I think in our time here too, with the Penobscots.
That
Yeah, I
we
remember that.
stopped a lot.
Was that
We were an unknown participant in a lawsuit. The only thing we did was withdraw from a lawsuit.
I know, we got that,
We have this, the
yes,
sweet,
the sweetgrass.
yes, the sweetgrass braids. Mine is still up over
Yep.
the picture of the bridge in my office, but no, that, there was a whole, the council didn't approve the participation. It was done by a former manager without the council, so the council withdrew from the lawsuit over the Penobscot. Yeah. I remember that. I'd been here about 4 minutes.
Anything else from the public this evening? Very good. All right, so the next item is upcoming public hearings, designation of topics for committee assignment and scheduling of committee meetings, which we've already got a good start on. So we have the public hearing on the 13th for the budget items discussed earlier. We have the committee that we will narrow down for 6 p.m. For the request regarding the Windport, also on the 13th. On the 11th, there's the Economic Development Committee meeting. Any other,
That should be the 10th, I apologize.
yep, Monday the 10th.
What
Okay.
time's that gonna be, Rich?
That is 6 PM, the normal time.
Alright.
Do we
You're
need
gonna send out an email, right?
Yes.
Alright, good,
Yes.
alright.
the Economic Development
Yeah.
Committee? Do we need any other committee meetings?
There is, the Community Resilience Partnership meeting is going to be Wednesday, the 29th at 6 PM in this building. I have it on the calendar so that it can be recorded.
Thank you. Any others?
Was Anthony gonna get us some numbers or figures for that fencing and netting?
He already has figures for the backstop and hasn't had a chance at this point because he wanted to get with me to do that. Our paths were crossed today, so we should have something at that point.
In the netting along First Base side?
Yeah, I think we could have that done by the 13th.
And did we go any further with reaching out to engineering on whether that bank can just be sloped and the wall taken out?
We have not done that at this point. It is something we can reach out.
At the end of that meeting, somebody brought up using the Wasson Field. Was that anything? Didn't somebody that was at that meeting talk about using the Wasson Field a bit more?
Well, there's a lot that came out of that meeting.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I know it was mentioned at one point, but that's a softball infield. You have to
Really?
do a lot of work to
Okay.
make that a baseball
Fair.
field.
You'd have to put a mound in.
Yeah, to start, you gotta put a mound in, then you gotta put a grass infield in,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then you need some type of fencing, and, unless you wanna go for and change.
I actually think in NPA rules you could play on dirt, but you would need to put a mound. That's a lot of dirt.
One of the biggest challenges is to using that field as a baseball the way it's constructed right now.
Behind it.
Is behind it where you have the early childhood center,
Yeah.
and that's a pretty precious commodity with baseballs falling on top of
Yeah,
it.
Fair enough.
that wouldn't, yeah, that
I
wouldn't.
would discourage that.
She won't come back and visit us again, that's for sure.
Or actually, she might.
It's one thing having the little ones play up there, I mean,
But the
it's,
the long-term plan is for the relocation of that to not that site. They were looking at continuing to use a portion of it for something, I think, if the last plan that I heard was
yeah, I mean,
correct. But we wouldn't be
you'd still be away from
raining
it.
baseballs on
Yeah,
children.
You
if it
would be
was-
raining baseballs, yeah.
Can we put that on the next agenda of just having engineering take a look at this? 'Cause 99% sure that that wall was put there aesthetically back whenever it was, 96, 97. But just to make sure that cars, if they still park there, don't slide down into the field.
You think that?
Alrighty.
Alright.
Because that's the repair. I mean, we know what our end goal is, but the repair's got to be done to the
Okay.
field.
But are we looking at the repair as replacing the wall or trying to find a slope? I missed that part.
Doing the slope with like riprap crushed stone.
Oh, it'd be the whole thing, riprap.
Yeah, the wall, the whole wall would come down, not rebuilding the wall.
Okay.
So you want an engineering evaluation if that is removed and riprap is put there, parking is still safe.
Right.
Okay,
Okay. I can ask Mandy on Monday.
okay, I
Yep.
just wanted to make sure that I was writing down.
I just didn't know if, I couldn't remember if we needed to put this like on the next agenda for the council to like approve that.
I think engineering services is one that we don't have to have approval for because
No, we
of the
generally
service.
get you the information and then you decide
Yep.
aye, yay, nay. Or
So, yeah.
it's harder for you to make a decision without knowing the consequences of what you're doing, which is why we need the engineering before we say, yes, let's just go ahead and throw riprap on that.
What we may need though, Sue, because this may have come up the other night, is legal language for the easements with Sharon Brown through our attorneys. Maybe if they can write up would we need a survey, or can we just do the?
There is a survey, an old survey of that property. I can find it if we look me up
Ms. Brown gave us a verbal commitment to do the
Connection to the parking
connection to
lot.
the parking lot as well as utility for lights.
And the goal is just to get to the end game.
Just so that we can get that on the record,
Yep.
so we don't run into a situation like we did with the Masonic Hall.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm not gonna ask if there's anything else. That's a good document.
don't ask him
No,
anymore.
no, yeah, we're all good. No, all good? All
Now,
good.
now you're sick of hearing me speak.
No. Yes. If there is nothing else, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion
Oh,
adjourned.
one thing, we had an inspection of a number of buildings, by Maine Municipal, our insurer, that kind of thing, but, our finance, Rachel, was here this morning when that happened and met with the gentleman that was here and, who said, you know, I mean, the building passed, it was fine, but advised her of grant program that may pay for the security improvements that we are getting quotes on. So, there's a, I
Perfect.
just wanted
That's
to,
even better.
I was excited when she sent me the
Yes.
text saying, it went really well and he told me about a grant program. I'm like, all right then, we can.
sounds good.
That's great.
Great. Glad you stopped us. That's good info. Yep. I did hear a motion though. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.